Good, happy Wednesday morning, February 27, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, remains of World War II pilot identified 75 years after death. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
Burst out the door when it matters most. For more than a decade, he's been right there, everywhere. And when American jobs are on the line, he leads the charge. ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast, and we thank you.
And he used to dream a lot about that he would come home.
And in some ways, Madeline's big brother is finally coming home. 75 years after First Lieutenant Burley Curtis died during World War II. It was 1 week after D-Day, June 13, 1944. He was piloting a bombing raid when his plane crashed into a field in France. The military delivered a telegram to the family home in Holliston, Massachusetts. Her brother was missing in action.
But he died doing what he wanted to do, and he preserved life for us, the lifestyle.
A witness reported collecting remains back then and offering a proper burial, but it would take decades and a recent archaeological dig to confirm her brother died that day, finding his compass, coins, and his dog tags. Madeline will bring them to her surviving older brother, who was also a World War II pilot.
I have to give him that dog tag personally. I just have to. And there are two of them. I'm going to have one, and Don's going to have.
In June, the 75th anniversary of his death, Lieutenant Burley Curtis will be laid to rest next to his parents at a church in Maine, a spot held for him and for answers all these years.
Even though 22 years, he lived more and did more for us than some do 100 years, I say.
In Antrim, Gene Mackin, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man performs CPR on driver after crash, saving his life. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
I happened to look up, and right where all that mess is over there is where the vehicle was.
Robert Merrill was driving in Salem when he noticed a car had crashed.
My main concern was to go over there and help him.
He pulled over and noticed first responders were not there.
I wasn't even thinking. The adrenaline was just there. I just yanked the door. We went in, unbuckled him. I grabbed him by his ankles, pulled him out, ripped the shirt open, and I just started doing chest compressions.
He performed CPR until the ambulance arrived.
It was like 4 minutes until they got there, but it was like the longest 4 minutes ever.
Once the victim was treated, a paramedic walked up to him.
He came up to me with a smile, and he said, "Because of you," he said, "this man has a fighting chance of survival." Yeah, I started crying because I knew I did something right.
Now Salem Fire is highlighting Robert's actions.
Tremendous effort and a tremendous job by Mr. Merrill to stop and do CPR and to help this gentleman that really needed it. Studies have shown that earlier somebody starts with CPR, it increases their chances of survival.
Robert says he learned CPR by watching TV and has used it on a family member and someone overdosing in his neighborhood.
The family reached out to me, and they're thanking me, they want to meet me, and I don't want to be credited as a hero, because the heroes are actually the first responders. I'm just a citizen that knows what he's doing.
Staff at the fire department do tell us the victim is recovering at a Boston hospital. They don't know what the future will hold, but in the end, they do say Robert did the right thing. Reporting in Salem, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Ambulance carrying a patient crashes with a car. Police investigating. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Monica Hernandez.
Tonight, a crash involving an ambulance carrying a patient in Bedford is under investigation. Police say it happened this afternoon at the intersection of Route 101 and Jenkins Road. An ambulance from Amherst was taking the patient to the Elliott when it crashed with a car. The patient was moved to a Bedford ambulance. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Police driver alerted expired temporary license plate with white out. Driver cited, car towed. Plastow police cited a driver accused of using white out to alert the dates on their expired temporary license plate. Around 1:30 p.m. Tuesday, an officer stopped the vehicle on Route 125 at the Haverhill line. Police said the officer ran the temporary plate through dispatch and confirmed that it had expired on January 13th, but had been alerted to read it had been issued February 2nd. The actual plate had expired December 24th, 2018. Please do not attempt this, said police in a Facebook post. The driver was issued a traffic citation for operating an unregistered vehicle, and the vehicle was also towed from the scene. Bill would restrict ATV access to town roads in North Country. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cherry.
Citizens packed into the State House for a public hearing on House Bill 498, which would eliminate access for ATVs to Class 5 roads in the North Country.
It could practically kill Berlin again.
Opponents say the roads are a lifeline to the trails that support businesses in the north.
We have private investors putting millions of dollars into that area right now, with plans of a hotel possibly, a new store, a gas station, all depending on this OHRV economy coming.
Representative Wayne Moynihan sponsored the bill.
If you remove Class 5 town roads from this statute, you are not removing any other road. For example, the city of Berlin's roads are within an urban compact and are Class 4 roads. This statute wouldn't affect their ability to use their roads.
Some residents say the ATVs bring noise to homes along the trails and other dangers as well.
In Gorham, I think Route 2 is, I think it's a critical freight route. And so you're putting ATVs on a route with logging trucks.
The alternative for businesses would be to trailer their vehicles and corral their clientele in one pickup spot, which they say is not feasible.
That will lose all its aura of the area. People don't want to trail it.
Another concern from bill opponents, the loss of local control for trail access to state hands. One hand says a solution is House Bill 683, which would require town selectmen to have a public hearing on whether a road should be opened for ATV use.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Groundbreaking held for new hotel in Manchester. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tim Callery.
The Manchester Mill Yard is about to get a facelift. This empty lot is now on its way to becoming a new multi-million-dollar hotel. Florida-based developer Peter Floats' company has owned the property for more than a year.
We're building a 125-room true hotel. It's a new brand by Hilton.
That brand is geared toward millennials, one of the main reasons why Floats picked this location, highlighting nearby SNU and UNH.
We think very well fitting for the demographic in the Mill Yard.
But the hotel is not the only plan in the works.
And under the hotel, on the Commercial Street side here, we're building retail space that'll bring new restaurants into the Mill Yard. We're also adding some parking, so there will be about 3 times as much parking here when we're done as there is today.
Mayor Joyce Craig and city aldermen were on hand for a groundbreaking ceremony. The mayor calling this a historic day.
It really is. You know, we've got development going on in the Mill Yard, and it's not often that we see something actually going on. Obviously, we have the wonderful mills, but now we have a new hotel going in.
True Hotel is one of 2 set to pop up in the Queen City. The other will be located on Lake Ave. AAM 15 Management, which is in charge of that project, tells News 9 it'll be a 123-room, 4-story Residence Inn by Marriott, with open-air parking on site. The goal is to be up and running by May 2020.
It's just an indication of, you know, the value that they see in Manchester.
And now as for True Hotel, the developer says he expects it will be up and running sometime in June of next year. Reporting live here in Manchester, I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. European markets open lower ahead of Trump-Kim meeting. European stocks opened in the red at the start of Wednesday's session as investors designated the latest political and economic news from around the world. And here is a look at the European stock market right here. As you can see, it's in the red. House Democrats want ethics probe of GOP Congressman's Michael Cohen tweet. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC News.
Love my boys. Since I'm a truck driver, you know, there's times that I'm gone for like 3 weeks at a time. Even if I'm 3,000 miles away, I'm connected with my boys. Every day I could video chat with them. I could be in the middle of Wyoming. Even if I'm like, way out here, I can still reach my kids, baby. You see me? Hey, Daddy.
There for you when it matters most. Unlimited on the best network now comes with Apple Music on us and $300 off our best phones. Only on Verizon.
It sounds like Christmas is coming very early this year. Former Trump fixer Michael Cohen is testifying to Congress about his former boss today and tomorrow. And where is Trump? He just got off a plane in Hanoi. It's nice to see his bone spurs didn't keep him out of Vietnam this time.
You've been waiting for that.
Wait, where's the bell? I know, yeah. Insiders say it's going to be earth-shattering what he says. Shocking testimony. You think it's going to live up to the hype, ladies? What do you think?
What do you think, lawyer? I think so. I mean, he's going to testify today behind closed doors, but tomorrow he's going to testify publicly for the first time. And then the next day he's going to speak privately again to another House committee. So I think we're going to hear about the fact that Trump may have had ties to Russia in terms of his business.
About Russia, I thought.
Well, my understanding is that he may testify about
his
Trump's contacts with Russia. Hush payments made before the 2016 election.
You're talking
and
about the Trump Tower.
Yeah, Trump Tower, some other sensitive matters. How he manages his business, the emoluments clause in terms of money that he's getting from that Washington hotel where people, are staying, and he's still padding his coffers. So I think we're going to hear some interesting information. I know that I've heard that he's going to talk about some racist statements that Trump has made, but what's new?
Well, we've heard the racist statements ourselves. We don't need him to tell us.
We don't need to know about that. But I think in terms of sort of the money that he's still making while president, and perhaps the
his taxes.
Russian
I think that's an interesting area. Al Capone.
Okay. And there you go on some of that video. If you want to watch the whole video, we will have this link up for you on the Riley King Network Facebook page. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.